In our visual, virtual world, there's an increasing pressure on teenagers to look the part, to shape and sculpt their bodies. But what about the parts not on show? How far will girls now go?
I guess I just picked up from somewhere that it wasn't neat enough or tidy enough, and I think I wanted it to be smaller.
Doctors have told us they're seeing more girls upset with how their genitals look.
So I'm seeing young girls, sort of around 11, 12, 13, thinking there's something wrong with their vulva, that they're the wrong shape, the wrong size, and really expressing almost disgust.
And more often than not, they're after cosmetic surgery to change them.
Girls will sometimes come out with comments like, well, I just hate it, I just want it removed, I just want it treated. And for a girl to feel that way about any part of her body, let alone a part that's intimate, is really upsetting.
Naomi is one of the country's leading adolescent gynecologists, and I've come to meet her in Bristol after hearing how concerned she is about the number of girls seeking her help.
Over the last few years, whereas I might have seen 1 or 2 patients every few months, then I'm now seeing patients every week. I would say typically there'd be mid-adolescents, there'd be 14, 15, 16, but I have seen girls who are younger. The youngest girl I've seen is a girl of 9, and almost universally the solution they're seeking is to have an operation, to have surgery.
The surgery is called labiaplasty. It's where the lips of the vagina are shortened or reshaped. It can be done for cosmetic reasons, or if they're causing a woman pain.
GPs and doctors will refer in a girl and say, we're worried that the appearance looks strange, looks wrong, looks abnormal in some way. The inner lips, the labia, are too long or are pendulous or are abnormal. And so a girl will come and see me and she'll be really worried, and her mum will probably be worried, and I'll offer them an examination, and 100% of the time then I will find that the girls have perfectly normal anatomy and that there's no abnormality there at all.
So how do you feel when you see these girls and they want surgery on their genitals and you've deemed them to be what you'd call normal?
I find it very worrying that we're normalising cosmetic surgery in the genital area for a generation.
I think when I was about 13, 14, I started to wonder why it wasn't symmetrical.
Anna decided when she was younger that she'd have the operation as soon as she turned 18.
I guess I just picked up from somewhere that it wasn't neat enough or tidy enough, and I think I wanted it to be smaller.
Where were you getting the idea that you didn't look normal?
Sometimes people around me were watching porn and stuff, and I just had this idea that it should be symmetrical and not sticking out. I guess I just thought that's what everyone else looked like because I hadn't really seen any normal everyday areas like that before then.
And why did you decide that you wanted surgery?
I didn't want to be abnormal, I didn't want to look different, because I thought I looked different from other people. I remember looking back through magazines and things like that, and I remember seeing that as one of the options and being oh, okay, so if there's surgery options for it, then clearly I'm not the only one who wants this done, and it was maybe it won't be that big of a deal. Just snip one side so that they look the same, so they look symmetrical, there'll be loads of painkillers, it'll be fine.
I just wasn't seeing girls coming with these anxieties before.
Paquita has been a GP for 30 years, and she started to worry when her young patients began to raise these concerns. Since then, she's surveyed others in her trust and found the same story.
I think what's really distressing is the disgust. I remember the girl pointing at her genitalia and her nose sort of wrinkling in disgust and saying, what's this? As if there really doesn't seem to be a knowledge now of what one should look like. There seems to be this sort of very narrow spectrum of what is acceptable.
What is the perceived spectrum of normal versus the reality of what women look like?
That the inner lips, if you like, should be invisible. Or, you know, a bit like a sort of Barbie doll, that, you know, you don't see anything. But the reality is that there's a great variation in the size of the inner lips, that some of them quite normally may protrude.
You feel very strongly that women and girls particularly shouldn't be seeking the surgery and shouldn't be having it. Why?
The labia is normal, healthy, erogenous tissue. Why on earth should one be removing it? You know, it's an amputation.
The NHS says this surgery shouldn't be carried out on girls before they turn 18, as their genitals won't have fully developed. And a few years ago, they changed the rules.
So that GPs could no longer refer patients who had cosmetic concerns about their labia. There had to be a physical issue that was causing them pain or discomfort. But as we've heard, that hasn't stopped the referrals or the surgeries.
Last year, more than 200 girls under the age of 18 had labiaplasty on the NHS. More than 150 were under 15. We shared this with Naomi.
Does that surprise you?
It shocks me. That seems extraordinary data, because the area hasn't finished developing. That's akin to 156 girls under the age of 15 having breast implants.
The NHS team who gave us that data were keen to point out that the NHS would never operate for cosmetic reasons. Do you think some of these surgeries that have been performed were not needed?
I find it very hard to believe that there are 156 girls under the age of 15 who had a medical abnormality with the labia that meant they needed to have surgery. I think that's extraordinary, and as a paediatric and adolescent gynecologist, I have never seen a girl under the age of 15 who's needed to have an operation on her labia. There are medical practitioners up and down the country who must be performing these procedures, and I think we need to be trying to do more about it.
We know the NHS now says it won't perform this operation for cosmetic reasons. Do you think girls are wising up to this and, you know, over-promoting physical symptoms to get the operation?
Yes, I think there is awareness that they're more likely to have the operation if they say that it's causing physical discomfort, interfering with sex, interfering with sport. They feel that will tick that box and they're more likely to have the procedure. But some of them are genuinely distressed. They're so convinced there's something wrong, and they feel so embarrassed and ashamed of their appearance that they are extremely distressed.
So what can be done to tackle the distress that some girls are feeling? Well, a lot can be achieved in schools by teaching girls and boys what their bodies look like. And I've come to this school, which is working really hard to dispel some of the myths.
We've gone from Marilyn Monroe to Kim Kardashian in the past 50 years. And the reason that that's happened is because the existence of the fitness, fashion and beauty industries to an extent rely on inventing new things for us to worry about. New parts of our body that we're supposed to apologise for. Because if they can keep us insecure, they'll keep us spending.
Natasha Devon goes into schools to talk to teenagers about their bodies.
There's a lot of young women who are going to have surgery on their genitals because they think they're not normal. They are normal, but pornography has created this unrealistic expectation, which has created a market. There are people who will try and convince you that you're not normal so that you will spend money. There is a pressure, particularly on girls, to attain perfection in all areas of their life. They feel pressure to perform academically, to seem like they're popular, to be sporty, and additionally to look perfect all the time.
How important is it to educate girls on this stuff?
We can teach children as early as possible to question and have a really healthy skepticism for the world around them. That's like armour, and that prepares them for what's, let's face it, because of technology, quite an uncertain future. If you chase whatever's considered to be beautiful in any one given moment in history, you'll be chasing it forever, because it will always change. Those goalposts will always move.
It's great to see some of the work that's being done in schools, but now I really want to understand some of the pressure that these girls are under. How much pressure do you guys feel to look a certain way?
There is a lot of pressure, especially on like social media. It's all pictures of like working out or looking a certain way, and you kind of look at yourself and think, oh, I don't look like that at all.
Boys have like a certain image of a girl, and then they think like you should like have to work towards that image, but then they could be like whatever they want, but you have to be a certain thing.
Do you worry about the images that boys are seeing with pornography and how it's affecting what they think girls should look like?
I just think they were like really unrealistic. Like everyone like either has fake boobs or they've had like surgery done. It's just like, but then when a boy or someone or a couple go to have sex, I think that their body's going to look like that.
Do you ever worry about the appearance or that part of your body?
There's an expectation that you shouldn't have it really hairy. It's like you've got to shave it.
Yeah, I think there's just like an image like pubic hair
is dirty.
There was like one thing on Snapchat a few weeks ago, and it was like, oh, there's 4 different types of vaginas. They categorised it into like only like 4 or 5 sections, so it's like, oh, so what if it doesn't fit into that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I consider myself quite confident, and then you kind of actually think about it and you realise that, oh, actually we do a lot of things to change ourselves.
The term designer vagina, which I hate using, that really has put a certain stamp on this surgery, which in some respects is no different to breast surgery.
The majority of labiaplasties are done by private cosmetic surgeons on women once they've turned 18, and the industry is criticised for normalising the procedure and encouraging these insecurities.
Some of the medical practitioners we've spoken to say that a lot of the young girls wanting this operation actually, when they look at them, have no need for it. How much are you seeing that?
There's an awful lot of that about, but I have seen patients anywhere between 16 and 21 who have never had a boyfriend. They've never even engaged in an intimate relationship because they are so concerned about that.
But you rightly mentioned that this is a cosmetic procedure.
Complete.
How do you feel on operating on people for cosmetic reasons for this?
I do it because I can get people to be happier about life. It changes people fundamentally. It changes their outlook in life, it changes the feelings they have about themselves, it changes their self-esteem and their confidence. And I think if you can change that with something relatively simple, like an hour-long operation, I think it's a worthwhile thing to do.
There are those who vehemently disagree, who say the parallels between this surgery and female genital mutilation are uncomfortable.
When we think of the horror of FGM, is that comparison fair?
The law is very clear. We shouldn't be performing operations and surgery, which is irreversible, on developing bodies for cultural reasons. The Western culture, the current culture, is to have very small labia minora, for them to be tucked inside the outer vagina lips. I see it as the same thing.
Female genital mutilation is clearly not a procedure that we can support in any way, shape or form. To even use it in the same sentence as labiaplasty surgery is not only unhelpful, but it's unfair. If we should not be doing labial surgery, then there needs to be a societal response and a decision made.
But before that decision, the question that needs addressing is why now is there such a demand for this surgery, and from such young girls?
There isn't enough education, and it should start really quite young, particularly as puberty is starting younger and younger, as to what your body's going to look like, and explaining to them that, you know, that there is a range, you know, like we all look different in our faces, we look different in that part of our bodies as well, and that it's okay.
Well, I spend some time just trying to talk to them about the anatomies, and we've also got these pictures of women who have no medical problems and no concerns with that part of the body, and to realise that women come in all shapes and sizes and these are all healthy natural bodies, I think goes some way towards alleviating that.
And while education is crucial, Naomi says some of the responsibility must lie with the professionals.
I don't think it should be performed, certainly on girls under the age of 18. Over the age of 18, it should be seen for what it is, which is a cosmetic procedure which people may choose to buy.
You're now in your 20s and you didn't have the operation. What changed your mind?
For me, I stopped worrying so much about how I looked and realised there were more versions of normality.
And are you glad you didn't get it done?
Yeah, looking back now, I'm really glad I didn't get it done because I didn't need it. Like, I look totally normal, completely and utterly normal.
You can have a trim tummy with advanced science. Be Thin Fat Cell Reducing Formula is the only product containing reductanol, clinically proven to shrink fat cells beneath your skin. When you apply Be Thin Fat Cell Reducing Formula, millions of microscopic liposomes penetrate your skin barrier. Each liposome contains powerful fat-shrinking reductanol. Once beneath your skin, the liposomes release their reductanol and your fat cells absorb it. This causes them to shrink, making your skin look noticeably slimmer. It's so powerful that you'll see results in just weeks. Anyone can go from a tummy like this to a tummy like this. Just apply Be Thin Fat Cell Reducing Formula twice a day. It absorbs fast. It's not greasy and has no scent. Previously, you had to go to professionals to get reductanol. Now it's available in Be Thin Fat Cell Reducing Formula. If you want shapelier features in just weeks, visit BeThin.com today. Be Thin products are not available in stores.